Comedian Jon Stewart is calling the tradition of playing the national anthem at sporting events a weird ritual. The tradition began in 1918 and has marked significant moments in history. Who could forget Whitney Houston's powerful Super Bowl performance when the nation had just entered the Persian Gulf War? The nation's anthem also unified Americans after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and it's what we turn to during our toughest moments. But Jon Stewart doesn't seem to think so.
You know, I've always thought about when Kaepernick took the knee and the whole thing was like, you got to stand for the anthem. But like, why is that? That when the anthem comes on, you only have to stand if you're there. But the transitive principle through the television, if it's through the television, you can do whatever the you want. If you're at the stadium, there's like a whole regimen that you have to go through.
Emily, what is wrong with this guy? I mean, you were an NFL cheerleader. You've been at football stadiums. I love the anthem.
It is so incredible, Kaylee. I'll never forget standing on the fields during those games and hearing the national anthem, and I'll especially never forget my very final game, knowing that it was my final game. And I had tears streaming down my face and listening to it. My hand was over my heart. We were standing and the jets fly overhead. I mean, I'm getting chills now talking about it. It is an incredible experience. That moment of patriotism, that moment of unification before we tear each other to shreds in the stands and on the field, right? But we are playing under one flag. And I'm surprised by his comments too, because he played soccer in college. I mean, granted, it was like junior varsity or something for a year, but he should still know that under sports, whether it's international and it's under the globe of, you know, you're a world here, same world, or in the U.S., it's under that same stars and stripes. So I think it's an unfortunate but unsurprising attitude about it, but also contrary what he just sort of, I think, insinuated there. When you're at home, it's different when you're at the stadium. I'm a patriot every day, no matter where I am, and I stand for my national anthem.
Absolutely. And Will, the way that the anthem has dovetailed with history, particularly in sports, I mean, playing in the World Series in 1918, it was 17 months after the United States had entered World War I. More than 100,000 Americans had perished in that war, heroes. And the anthem plays in the seventh inning stretch for the first time in 1918. It's really been a part of our history.
So therefore, it's part of our tradition. And look, traditions don't have to be bulletproof. I mean, so Jon Stewart finds it odd that you're sitting at home watching the television and you don't have to stand for the anthem, but that's the way it is. I mean, that's the way it's practiced. And it's a beautiful practice. Honestly, there's so few things left. There are so few things left in America where we can unify, as you said, Kelly, where we can be together on something. If you ever stand in a stadium when everyone stands the national anthem and takes off their hat and takes just 90 seconds to think why we're all in this together. It's really a beautiful tradition. It's pretty sophomore to sit there and poke holes in it because you don't do it when you're watching it on television. Cute. Doesn't change what this moment represents.
Exactly. And Julian, you know, it became a part of our sports history, the anthem in 1918 after World War I, or in the middle of it, I should say. Yeah. But World War II is when the NFL started to play it. And in the aftermath of World War II, the NFL commissioner came out and said this: the national anthem should be as much a part of every game as the kickoff. We must not drop it simply because the war is over. We should never forget what it stands for.
I would say that personally, I think it's a beautiful tradition. I think it's a very meaningful tradition. That said, there's a lot of Americans who don't agree with me. There are a lot of Americans who love this country and feel that, you know, playing the national anthem ahead of sports games is a non sequitur and find it deeply weird. I guess Jon Stewart was trying to speak to them. There's also a difference, and we don't need to get into this argument because we have, you know, debated this tirelessly over the last few years. There is a difference, as Will points out, between this being a tradition and between this being the letter of the law. Playing the anthem, standing for the anthem is nowhere written in the law books in this country, but it is a tradition. So it should be up to individual Americans what they want to do.
Yeah, Julie, you know, it's my view. I love, you know, as Emily spoke to at the top of this, just that moment of unity where, yeah, it's before you grab your beer, enjoy the game, two opposing teams head off. You have this moment of we're all Americans at the end of the day. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think politics has any place on the playing field. So, I mean, for anyone to complain about being proud of being an American while watching a football game, which is an all-American sport, is just plain idiotic.